Arc 5, My Immortal, Session 0.1, Fight Like a Girl Recap. The DM is Goat. The party is Eris, Hercules, Klaus, Sylvia, and Grania. The session starts out with a help request. Germanus Verdwinen has been missing. I am looking for adventurers to investigate this disappearance. If you are willing to help me find my brother, please come find me at the Weight in Gold Smithy in Stotdorf. Ralph Verdwinen. The party individually makes their way into the direction of a place called Stotdorf, laid next to one of the big lakes of Carthatus. On their way there, some of the people in the party take peculiar note of specific carts that are occasionally driven by. Wrought from dark wood with a Gothic motif engraved in the sides, the mere appearance of these carts seems to put the villagers nearby on edge. The party comes together at the requested place of meeting, the Weight in Gold Smithy near the river of town. It is outside the smithy that Klaus proudly shows off his newest work, a homunculus going by the name of Paracelsus, a mismatch of dead pigeon and medical equipment that makes a rather hard landing after the doctor throws it in the air. This spectacle is overlooked by someone in town who is quick to throw her door shut. An event that won't affect anything in the future for sure. As the party looks around the smithy, they find out that the place seems to have been untouched for a while. They take note of the damage done to the outside of the door, showing forced entry. This thought is only strengthened as they open the door and peek into the shop entry of the smithy, where they see some signs of a struggle as well. It seems that Ralph Verdwiner, much like his missing brother Germanus Verdwinen, has disappeared as well. The party enters the smithy and starts to investigate the shop entry of the place. They find a table near the door tossed over, weaponry spread on the floor. The amount of dust in the place shows that it has been untouched for at least a week or 3, as do the now dying flowers outside. There is, however, something that stands out to them all. The layers of dust are disrupted by drag marks, leading to what the party quickly assumes is a murder basement. As Grania gets ready to enter said basement, it is Sylvia, whose keen ears are barely able to catch a displacement of weight on the other side of a creaked open door. It is only for her warning to the party that the surprise attack fails to take place, as the party enters combat on even footing instead. The combat that follows sets the party up against a triad of elementals. 2 small clouds of whirling air, picking up dust and debris on the environment, prove to be hard to hit, but not hard-hitting. The occasional blast of heated air does some damage, but the party proves to be quick in dealing with those 2 individuals. The bigger danger comes from a large invisible force hiding itself in the smithy area, where Eris quickly finds themselves facing it off alone. Even for the experienced monk, it proves to be very difficult to match fists with something invisible. It is through Klaus's work with a fairy fire that after a long while, the party manages to end this invisible force as well. It is additionally through Klaus's knowledge that they recognize the invisible force as a creature known as an invisible stalker, a being created by someone with high expertise within the arcane field, usually used for assassinations, but sometimes used for other ends, such as guarding a basement, as is the case here. With silence falling over the party, the party takes a good look around them and notices some key things. The smithy was in ruins, to an extent far worse than their own combat had created. A fight had taken place here long ago. Notably, however, there were no signs of blood or just strife and displacement. A poorly made dagger is found on the floor, showing similar signs of having been used in combat, but not holding any blood. With much of the building still left to explore, the party splits up for separate investigations before recollecting and sharing the following information. Grania took a look at the front of the shop, where she A, definitely didn't steal anything, and B, took a look through the ledgers. The ledgers showed orders up until 3 weeks ago, under the name of Germanus Verdwinen, and occasionally an apprentice Madrike acronym. After the 3 weeks ago mark, the ledger is empty. Grania also takes note of an order of about 1.5 months ago. A woman named T. Wisniewski made an order for an arcane brooch to be made. It confirmed a pickup date on her order 2 weeks later. Eris investigates a miniature bedroom where a bed seems to have been hastily abandoned, with even the slippers in front of it untouched. A chest reveals multiple sets of work clothes, as well as a flowery dress. The small desk that is set up holds simple schematics and designs for weapons, with the occasional note on production and some tips written down. The consensus is that this was the room of Germanus' apprentice, Marike Actronom. Eris also takes note of a very Cenolian-looking lucky cat that is placed on the desk. Hercules and Klaus head toward the more refined and untouched workstations in the smithy, where Klaus picks up on a peculiar item that lights up under the effects of a detect magic. A clump of metal that is covered in small runes that radiates abjuration and divination magic. Klaus recognizes it as an enchantment prototype for something called a Brooch of Living Essence, an item that allows the wearer to show up as a humanoid under detective spells and abilities. Sylvia, later joined by Grania, takes a look through the sleeping quarters of the smithy and finds a picture frame with a small portrait of a man next to a candle. On the back of the portrait reads, "In Memoriam, Rolf Verdwinen, aged 33. Dated 6 years ago." Apparently, the person who wrote from Help for Adventurers has been long dead. Additionally, Sylvia manages to pick up on a loose floorboard, under which she finds a bunch of letters stashed away corresponding between Germanus Verdwinen and a woman named Agnieszka. The party notes that the woman's handwriting is a perfect match with the quest posting that was put up. The 3 most notable and latest letters contain the following. "My Lady Agnieszka, I hope this letter finds you well. Things have been quiet here, though the forge keeps me busy as ever. I've just finished a fine little brooch for Miss Wisniewski, silver with a beautiful onyx adorning its center. She seemed quite pleased with it, and truth be told, I'm proud of how it turned out. I am expecting more work shortly, as she shared she'll be sharing my work with her friend from the von Vratislav family. My apprentice, young Marike, has been doing well too. She's quick to learn, steady with her hands. Folks in town still give her looks now and then, but she pays it no mind. I keep telling her that good work speaks louder than gossip ever could. Word's been going around about a sickness spreading in the low valleys, bad enough that they say some villages have nearly emptied. We've had no cases here, thank the gods, but I thought you might like to know, in case any of your traders come through that way. How is your daughter doing? I remember her always running about with that wooden horse I mended last spring. I hope she's strong and keeping out of trouble. Give my respects to your household. If you've any work you'd like done before the winter sets in, just send word and I'll see to it. Your humble smith, Germanus Verdwinen." My dearest Germanus, your letters warmed me more than any fire could. It feels as though your words still carry the scent of your forge. A little smoke, a little steel, and all the steadiness I miss so dearly. I smiled when I read about Miss Wisniewski's brooch. I can picture it already, and I know your hands made it with care. You've always had a way of putting a bit of yourself into the things you craft. I'm glad to hear Marike is doing well under your guidance. It pains me that the townsfolk can't see her worth, but I know you do, and that is what matters. We both know we won't be able to change people's opinions on Cenolians, but perhaps one day the opinions can be changed about her at least. Additionally, Ger, I implore you to be cautious around Miss Wisniewski and her kin. There's talk here that they've been meddling where they shouldn't, with coin and with promises. I'd rather not see you tangled up in any of that. Trust me on this one. As for my little one, she's grown so much since you last saw her. Her hair's longer now, always falling into her eyes, and she insists on helping the stable hands feed the horses, though she ends up wearing more grain than they do. She still has that wooden horse you mended. She calls it Sir Iron Hoof now, and refuses to sleep without it by her bed. Sometimes, when I see her playing, I think of you. I know I shouldn't say too much in writing, but I miss you terribly. Write to me a bit more often, won't you? Even a few lines would be enough. Your letters are the one thing that make these long evenings feel bearable. Take care of yourself, and with all my warmth, Agnieszka. With all the information shared and gathered, the party decided to finally open up the creepy basement where they find exactly what they were expecting earlier. At the bottom of the stairs, they find the deceased body of Marieke Achternam. Her body is beaten, broken, and covered in bruises, but has one exception. A rip or gash down her clavicle, which Klaus determined has happened post-mortem, just like the draining of her blood. The party decides to go get some answers in the neighborhood to see if anyone heard the altercation. It is outside that Eris's eyes fall on the letterbox, which contains 3 more letters Germanus never got to read. My dearest Germanus, it seems my last letter has gone astray. Or perhaps you've forgotten how to hold a pen? I can almost see you there, covered in soot and metal dust, too busy shaping horseshoes to spare a word for me. You better have a fine excuse, or I'll come down myself and scold you in front of your apprentice. Truly, though, I've missed hearing from you. Your silence makes these days feel longer. Even a few words would do, just to know you're still out there, hammering away, and thinking of me as I think of you. If this is your way of teasing me, then it is cruelly done. But I'll forgive you once I get a letter that smells of smoke and iron again. With impatience and affection, Agnieszka. Germanus, it's been a week now and still nothing. No messenger, no letter, not even a scrap of parchment. Do you know what it feels like to wait each morning for a knock at the gate with a letter that never comes? If you've decided to stop writing, then have the courage to say so. Don't just vanish into your forge of smoke. I thought better of you than that. I can't help but wonder if I've said something wrong, or if you're simply too proud to explain yourself. I hope it's neither. But your silence feels heavier with every passing day. Please, Germanus, just one word. Germanus, I don't know what's happened, but something must have happened. Did the von Władyslavs contact you? If you're ill or hurt or worse, I can hardly write the words. Please tell me. I've sent a man to ask after you, but until I know, I can't rest. I keep your last letter by my bedside. I read it every night, as though if I do it enough, I'll find another letter on my door. Please, my love, if you can read this, answer me. Do not leave me. Me and Odile wait for your writing. Always, Agnieszka. It is the mention of a man being sent out that catches the party's interest primarily, and they head over to the tavern at the other side of the street to ask for information and to try and locate the man. Opening the door and stepping inside of the Der Bierwit, a woman immediately recognizes Klaus and calls him out as the weirdo with the dead bird that she told the folks about. As it turns out, messing with undead equipment, improved creatures out in the streets was not the greatest idea, as the tavern's perception in the part starts out negative. What follows is multiple back and forths between the party and the townsfolk. They explain that while Klaus is a certified weirdo, he is harmless and has Hercules to babysit the doctor. They ask the townsfolk if anything bad or weird has happened in regards to the smithy, and are quickly met with townsfolk pointing hostile finger towards Germanus' Sinolian apprentice Marieke, and that whatever it is that brought the party in, it is likely her doing. Hercules mentions that they took care of it, which seems to lighten their mood significantly. It is Sylvia that offers the bar a round of drinks each time someone offers them information that will lead the party to finding the man they are looking for. A woman mentions that a carriage bearing the von Władysław family crest stopped by Germanus' smithy one evening. Useful information, but not specific to finding the man, Sylvia points out. This starts another drop in mood and attitude, as the townsfolk don't know what information might be useful to them and offer it in, but feel like Sylvia is too stingy to actually reward it and stick to her words. It is this change in attitude that, following some harsh words from Sylvia and Grania, has the barkeep asking the party to fuck off out of his tavern. The party, following their unsuccessful encounter, make their way down the street and hit up the corner vegetable store, where a knock on the door reveals a tiny halfling man. They similarly question him, but this interaction goes a lot better. He knows the smithy has been silent for a while, and he is not surprised. He saw Germanus leave, after all. He mentions the car stopped in the evening, and a woman named Wisniewski entered the smithy with her cart driver. A while later, she, the driver, and a terrified-looking Germanus stepped out, entered the cart, and left. When asked who the woman was, he mentioned she was a dear friend of Solana von Vratislav, who in turn is the wife of Vadris von Vratislav, the ruler of northern Carthatus. The party thank him for his time and make their leave to have a talk about what they learned. While the original plan was to have the talk back in the smithy, Grania makes her way back into the tavern and yells out a question to the folks. Why do a bunch of nobles care enough about a smith to kidnap him? When the folks inside the tavern ignore her in favor of their own conversations and drinks, Grania takes this very maturely, very calmly, very demure, and takes out her pistol and shoots one of the bottles of alcohol behind the bar. While gunpowder itself is known within Carthatus, the country has hardly seen it adapted to weapons. While the concept of a gun is known, there are but few Carthatans who have ever seen one in person. It is thus, to no surprise, that as soon as the gun goes off, panic erupts inside the tavern. Half of the folks pick themselves up and flee towards the door behind the bar to exit through the back door. The others are stuck between freezing in place or picking up any and all improvised weapons they can find to fight back. This brawl is merely avoided by Hercules grabbing Grania and slinging her over his shoulder as the party makes their leave out of town. The last thing they hear, as the door to the tavern falls closed, is the venom-dripping words of the Beerwurt's barkeep, "You damn self-righteous adventurers!"